Over the last week, I was watching OreImo as a kind of social experiment. Of course I had heard about the reputation it has, and of course I knew it was about siscon, and I already knew that I hate the little sister trope that's commonly appearing in anime. So if you would accuse me of going into this with negative expectations, yes, you're correct. This was a cynical experiment from the start. Shazami and some other people in the Digibro Patreon Discord peer pressured me into watching OreImo to read my angry reactions, and I think the result did not disappoint them. To make this weird community project more than just cynical, I'm making this video to deliver some actual discourse on this show. Considering how often I get the desire to drop a bad show in the first 12 minutes, I'm surprised to say that these particular 12 minutes weren't even that bad. There was an honest tension going on between Kyosuke and Kirino, and it looked just like what a real sibling relationship could be like if it had gotten a bit tense and estranged. Their interactions are mostly believable, and his sister opening up to him about eroge games she enjoys as a closet otaku was legitimately endearing. And he's offering her his help on his own. This is wholesome. How bad can this even get? And yes, it does the usual teasing and pandering you'd expect from a harem show. There's falling on boobs in a contrived way, and there's tsundere shit all over the place. Some scenes are really contrived and annoy me on a fundamental level. Like that one scene where Kyosuke receives a package from Kirino's otaku friends and she just randomly claims them for no reason, ignoring the label, ignoring that there's no reason to be expecting a package, and then she even tries to open the package from her otaku friend in front of her friends who aren't supposed to know she's an otaku. You brought this on yourself, Kirino. But that's just one example of many weird and shitty scenes that are just too contrived to make any sense and are just obvious set pieces. Let's not even concern ourselves with that. You don't need me to tell you that scenes like this suck, and OreImo just keeps doing it. Stupid misunderstandings, overreactions, uncalled for physical violence, Kirino being a general bitch overall. But all in all, the show didn't do anything too offensive yet. Yes, it's indulgent and a bit dull for my tastes, but not horrible. So at this point I was wondering if I'm missing the point somehow. The only thing that really gets me is how horrible Kirino is treating her brother in every episode. Violent, selfish, greedy. But Kyosuke, being the huge cuck that he is, forgives her everything she does instantly. Because apparently little sisters get a free pass to be the worst people. Because it's fine. They're cute though. For a moment there, episode 12 felt wholesome, like the first 3 episodes again. But then they went way hard into the romantic subtext and the whole tsundere, I'll be an asshole about it, but you need to correctly guess what I want to hear, otherwise I will violently punish you. I won't go to America to become a better runner, too busy having a toxic codependent relationship with my brother. I realized that I got baited into the worst fucking place now. The guys in the Discord channel urged me to watch OreImo Season 1 and I conceded to watch it. Now everyone is telling me, yes, but Season 2 is where it gets really bad. So because my hate boner wasn't satisfied yet, I guess I have no choice. I was promised to be spewing rage at this point. I wasn't really for the most part of Season 2. It just continued with the same stuff. Occasionally ripping off Genshiken, occasional domestic violence, occasional endearing scenes with some of the side characters, but then episode 8 happened. Kyosuke got into a relationship with Kuroneko. And they went and had some legitimately cute scenes together. And then... suddenly it felt like end of Evangelion. I was caught in a maelstrom of bullshit contrivances and fucked up characters who laid bare their fucked up psyche. Someone masturbates to an underage girl, at least conceptually, and everything comes tumbling down. All the girls love him, they have feeder harem festivals to decide who gets to own him, they try to surpass each other in who's a better enabler for their toxic relationship, and they circle jerk each other to death about it. I couldn't believe my fucking eyes. Before we get to the obvious, I want to take a little bit of time to talk about the best parts of OreImo and how they still kind of suck. OreImo is a show about the otaku lifestyle to a certain degree. It seems self-aware enough to understand what people use eroge games for, and how one can be passionate about them. The central cast of otakus discuss those games, anime and novels passionately and are content existing in their own space outside of normal society. And even though Kirino needs to hide her otakuness like a stigma, around her real otaku friends, she can be herself. This is all really nice in concept, if it wasn't for the stuff that basically destroys their friendships later on in season 2, and for the fact that something like Genshiken exists that did all this, the depiction of the otaku lifestyle implied, much better, more relatable, more mature, more nuanced, with more interesting and diverse characters and a lot more focus. And Genshiken even puts in the effort to make a case for the otaku lifestyle as something good and healthy, while not missing the nuance that there's times when being otaku can be a big negative for your life. If you don't get your shit together. What does OreImo do? Well, Dad, the erotic games are part of Kirino's identity, you have to understand. Why? OreImo has no answers. OreImo is shallow like that. Accept my art just because I like it. What, Dad? You think it's a bad influence? Well, I won't argue against that, but please accept it anyways. Why waste the opportunity to explain the worth of this art during a show clearly trying to embrace the idea of the otaku? But that's gonna stay a common theme. OreImo does not have answers or arguments for any questions or any discussions. It's always about, but I feel like it. Enough about the otaku-ness of the show. Let's get into the characters of the show. Kyosuke sucks. What is there even to say about this boring-ass paper cutout out of a catalog of a branded vacuum-sealed product delivered straight to every light novel author's home? He's the literal embodiment of boring light novel protagonist. He has no personality on his own and only exists in relation to other characters. Even his room is fucking empty and boring. Everything that he is only what he becomes during the show. Someone with slight interest in eroge games, that is. Thrilling. He's nothing but a bullshit light novel main character. He does everything the plot asks of him to make it move forward. But he does so reluctantly. What a character. Kirino sucks. Not only does it seem like her design is based on some universal philosophy that all little sister characters in anime must possess, cute little thanks, but she also is one of the most selfish, unlovable, unreasonable, boring characters I've ever seen, constantly blaming her brother for everything and hitting him even though he isn't at fault for the minor setbacks that bother her so much. Yet still she drags him around everywhere when she needs him to carry stuff or to selfishly help her with her hobby somehow, and she always gets away with it. It takes 32 fucking episodes for her to get what she deserves. This show operates on mystical otaku logic. Little sisters are lovable, no matter what they do. Oh, how cute, she hurts Kyosuke so much that his trash can in his room is full of bloody tissues. Oh, how cute, she's a tsundere, passive-aggressively torturing every waking hour of her brother's life. Oh, how cute, she's mean, but she's got a vagina. And she's cute, little emoto. Of course, it's fine. You filthy, degenerate otaku scum. I mean, have some self-respect. Don't just paint a picture of a little sister like that as if it was fine. Abuse is wrong no matter who does it. Get it together. Oh, and also Kirino sucks because she literally isn't a little bit independent. All her dreams and aspirations and goals for track and field were abandoned because she's far too busy to have a toxic relationship with her brother to actually go out and do something with her life. Pathetic. Manami sucks. I like the scene where she punches Kirino, but otherwise she's a boring, traditionally friendly, waifish girl that Kyosuke literally exploits to cook at his place when his mom is left. And if that wasn't already the most boring woman imaginable, she's the only one opposed to the toxic, incestuous relationship between the siblings, and she doesn't even have arguments. You could argue in so many ways how this relationship is wrong, which I will do later on, but she just goes, "Oh, you got in my way, Kirino. And also, incest is disgusting and no one will accept it. Strong fucking case there, Manami. Care to explain why? No? Okay, you deserve to be shut down." This is just the author saying, look, society criticizing you doesn't have arguments, they just have prejudice. Now what really pisses me off is how Kyosuke defends himself by saying, social standards are good guidelines, but I'll fight them. Don't sully the name of the Lord and Savior Gurren Lagann. What you're saying here isn't correct. In this case, social standards are intrinsically linked with the psychology behind the relationship at hand. And breaking that particular standard is not the good fight. But of course, this show doesn't represent the rational opinion about incest. This show could have been interesting if it was a gritty and dark depiction of broken fucking people fucking up their psychological development and getting codependent with their sibling, like a hardcore inside perspective of fucked up people like Welcome to the NHK. And the show accidentally puts in all the set pieces that would be required to write such a story. Kuroneko sucks. Oh boy, where do I even start on her? She starts off fine, just like Saori, just another otaku friend. She's even fun at times with her Chuni. The first red flags for me were raised when Kirino fucked off over to the USA and didn't talk to anyone for a while. And there's Kuroneko giving Kyosuke shit like, "You're really a terrible senpai. Your sister wrote one short weird mail and you didn't immediately fly over to America to console her? You fucking Damelingen." And that being as unreasonable as it is, he actually goes over and does it. Okay, I mean, a visit to the US is fun in its own way. He just flies over there, picks her up, and immediately leaves again. What pisses me off the most is how Kuroneko is apparently so invested in their incestuous relationship that she enables and rewards Kirino's fucking shitty behavior. Her not talking to anyone is her mistake. 100%. She doesn't deserve anyone to bother even a little bit if she decides to be a bitch for no fucking reason. But yet Kuroneko really gives Kyosuke shit about it. But this is only the start. Because this is where Kuroneko probably starts concocting her scheme. Her dark, creepy and unhealthy manipulative scheme. So she cooked up this scenario to make Kirino confess her incestuous feelings. This plan involved making Kyosuke fall in love with Kuroneko, have a relationship with her, which included constant teasing of Kirino, which would make her then realize that she wants her brother for herself. Kuroneko planned this shit, without giving a single fuck about the feelings of Kyosuke, who actually fell in love with her, and was violently and cruelly broken up with. What does she get out of this? Well, if I stretch really far, I can concede that she might hope that she could force him into coming to terms with a sister complex this way. And if he resolves it, and still is available for a relationship, then they could start going out again. But in the process, she hurt the guy. She insidiously manipulated him. She was as dishonest as she could have been, and she had hard-enabled his syscon. But she was fine with it. Well then, apparently she doesn't care about him at all, because she only cares about him if he's in a relationship with her. Otherwise she wouldn't allow and support this toxic relationship the siblings are having. So she went in with this weird fucked up scheme to break his heart for one of these two outcomes. That's fucking horrible. She's a horrible person. Kuroneko's and Kyosuke's relationship since episode 13 of season 1 was one of the most interesting parts of the show, and their summer romance actually was cute enough to kind of reach me. That they would ruin it in such a horrible way is beyond words. It feels like what the show is saying here is fuck bitches, a sister is all you need. And then she starts going off the rails completely. She's all dressed up as a cat, serving them tea, teasing him about the ritual without showing a shred of actual emotion about the whole situation, and even Kyosuke seems to be fine with this suddenly. I don't get it. Now they all pretend Kuroneko did something nice for them and made it all better? What kind of image of a sister has the author of this? I get it, it's syscon shit, yeah. But what the hell? Are they saying your relationship to your sister is the most important thing in the world and this should be the first priority in any context? Even though said relationship is a codependent, abusive Stockholm Syndrome nightmare of clingy possessiveness and passive-aggressive psychological torture. But it's fine, it's your sister after all. And now they go and turn Kuroneko, who could have been a way out of syscon and was a cute, kind of functioning romance arc, into a fucking manipulative psychopath with an obsession to control these people into their unhealthy codependency. This reminds me of a feeder so much. Nurture that mentally unhealthy behavior and enjoy the feeling of power you get from it, right Kuroneko, you fucking psycho bitch? Everyone in this show is ridiculously broken, but the framing is that it's all nice and good what's happening. Like the author himself has such a broken fucking worldview. Everyone else is boring and doesn't really matter. Except Saori, she's cool but naive. She's worried about her friend, but also hopes that this incest thing will work out for them. But after all is said and done, she doesn't give a shit whatever they do and lets them live their own life. It's fine, even if naive. Let's address the elephant in the room. Incest. Now, I don't have anything against fiction about incest. Not at all. It hurts nobody, and some people want to indulge in that fantasy, and that's completely fine. After all, it's not real. I could just say, oh yeah, that's someone's fetish, not mine. But someone will get something out of this. And heck, I don't even have much against real incest between two fully consenting adults with agency. Like, whatever, you do you. I don't care. Just don't make babies with fucked up genes. At least, that would be my stance. But OreImo did multiple things to make incest too real. They do this by juxtaposing the relationship against eroge games all the time, making the clear distinction, that is fiction, this right here is reality. The characters even acknowledge how creepy it is. By making this distinction in such a way, somehow OreImo manages to go past my "this is fiction so I don't mind it" filter. OreImo itself insists that it's at least 1 degree closer to reality than the eroge that are played in the show. Now let's get to reasons why real incest can be shitty, and why I judge OreImo's incest to be shitty. Besides the thing about incest fucking up genes, there's also another big fucking reason why incest is not a good thing. Power, exploitation, and the psychology of children. Children who are literally incapable of understanding their own feelings enough yet and haven't even hit most of the hormones to make them sexually mature people will go through what Freud called the Oedipus complex or Oedipus complex, whatever you want to pronounce it, or the Electra complex for girls. This complex happens during a developmental phase in the childhood where the kid learns to understand their own sexuality by desiring the parent of the opposite sex and by viewing the parent of the same sex as a rival. It is resolved when the child recognizes the moral rules of the world by accepting that the love object in the family is not something they are allowed to desire. Okay, that's about parents. What about siblings? In the flashback scenes, we see that Kyosuke is the one who spends a lot of time with Kirino, helps her out, gives her advice, basically takes care of her. As someone of the opposite sex who's older and one step above her in the hierarchy of the family. And considering what we know of their father, he's a traditional Japanese man, very stern, probably very busy with work. It's not a stretch to say for little Kirino her big brother has become the father figure to some degree. That's why I'll apply this theory to this case. But even if you debate this point, which I would easily concede on, the rest of the analysis still works. Now, we literally have Kid Kirino talking about how she felt inadequate and how she loved her brother on the recordings she made. She internalized this feeling and made it her reason of living. This is exactly the kind of thing that makes you grow up mentally fucked. This shit inhibited her psychosexual development heavily, and there's an argument to be made that she only feels this way towards her brother because she couldn't process these past developmental phases. But the show doesn't get this. The show frames it in a way like, it's fate that she already loved him back, how beautiful, true love. Fucking hell, read some Freud. This is what I meant when I said earlier that all the set pieces are there to make it an actual dark psychological story. It's a positive framing of the codependency between the two that pissed me off. Oh, and the shitty writing contrivances to make every other character an enabler. Codependency is basically a toxic relationship where two mentally unstable people are unhealthily dependent on each other and support each other's mental health issues, immaturities or addictions and so on, often involving emotional and physical violence and possessiveness of the other as well as separation anxiety. Do I even need to make the case how this applies to Kino and Kyosuke? Well, I will anyways. At the basis of this relationship lies the family roles. The big brother is better, capable, talented, and takes care of her and helps his little sister. The little sister is lower in this hierarchy. She learns from and loves her brother, gets inspired by him and demands his attention. This is exactly the starting point for the both of them. And it's still a normal, healthy sibling relationship. Now it gets twisted though. When they were visiting Manami as children and Kirino was deep in her Oedipal complex directed at her brother, she witnessed him helping Manami. Feeling robbed of the unique bond and familiar position, she got angry and disappointed at him at the same time as her possessiveness rises, Manami becoming a substitute mother figure to be a rival with. This event damages her self-worth, and she tries to uncouple herself from her brother by becoming a capable person worthy of respect by herself. The issue here is that she didn't do it for her own sake, but instead for her brother, to get acknowledged by him. She internalizes the wrong reasons. The worst thing that could happen now happens. Her brother gets lazy and loses motivation. Her idealized brother turns into a Dame Ningen. Her respect turns into hatred, while her love still remains intact, and the fixation due to the Oedipal complex. She centered her life around her brother, trying to become a good person for him, but he gave up being a good person himself, so now her self-worth depends even more on her brother, who is a piece of shit. The person she wanted to receive respect from now is not respect-worthy at all anymore. This is what leads her to hate him, to be violent, to escape into idealized Oni-chans in eroge games who are utterly unrealistic. This is pure self-loathing, because her reason to live transformed into a human piece of trash. But the feelings, the deep psychological bond between her well-being, her self-worth and her brother is still intact. Kyosuke, as boring as he is way less detailed. He lost motivation, maybe because he couldn't impress his sister anymore. If this was made explicit somewhere in the show, I missed it. This sent him down the same cycle of not being able to fulfill his family roles anymore and damaging his sense of self-worth even further. Which is why he obsesses over helping his sister whenever she does ask for help and opens up to him. Which is why he bears the violence and emotional abuse and the passive-aggressive torture every day. This is sick and very sad. Now that all sounds incredibly detailed and like a good psychological portrait of two fucked up characters, right? Well, that would be so, but when for the fact that the show exists in an indulgent fantasy where all this is apparently fine for all characters involved and is even supported by them. Yeah, fucked up, right? Kirino literally gives up multiple of her dreams and aspirations because of this. Kyosuke literally needs to be physically separated from his sister to properly learn for the college entrance exams. This might be the most mentally unhealthy show I've ever seen. They try to make us think their relationship is a good thing. They show him rejecting all the other girls with whom he could have a much better, healthier relationship instead, and all because a sister's all you need, right? Oni-chan has to protect his sister, right? It gets even darker if you look at how the side characters, or rather, the enablers, react to this. I already went into Kuroneko in detail, so let's not focus on her too much now. The parts of the show after episode 8 were a real mess. Once Kyosuke started living alone, one of the weirdest, most skewed harem situations I've ever seen happens. The girls start being in a competition with each other to see who can take care of him while he's living there. And I mean all the girls. Even Saori and Manami join in on the fun. At one point, Kuroneko and Ayase have a showdown who supports Kyosuke's and Kirino's incest more.
よく聞きなさい。私は京介が実の妹とセックスしていても構わないわ。
Never mind that Kyosuke could just learn to fucking cook. The show's far too busy presenting all these girls as possible traditional cooking and cleaning wives in that harem who would support that pathetic man-child. I don't mind a harem show if it's whimsical and has fun with the idea, like Monster Musume. But this show has a pretty serious premise and a pretty realistic tone, yet every girl goes crazy over him, and for a couple of episodes every girl turns into complete otaku bait. And it's really pissing me off. But the worst part is that this all makes them enablers. They are doing this while fully acknowledging and supporting Kyosuke's and Kirino's love by trying to make this happen so that Kyosuke can move back in with her after he gets his A in the college entry exams. And it gets far worse when later on in the last couple of episodes they follow Kyosuke and Kirino around in a car on their Christmas date because they expect Kyosuke to confess. And they help him chase her, and they even have fucking speakers installed in the back of the car to blast his Siscon confession at full volume at Kirino. To some degree, this felt like public shaming, but they were actually really rooting for him. Now I might not be interested in incest, and I might hate Kirino. But what about people who love incest and love Kirino? Even those people get fucked over, because the show doesn't even have the balls to go through with the incest. Instead, they pull out and say, yes, society doesn't accept this, but we've got some of our memories, and that's it. That would have been a kind of healthy ending to a psychology-focused incest show if anybody learned anything and moved on in a meaningful way. But nobody learned anything. These two didn't solve their issues. Nobody has anyone now. Not a single romance ended in a meaningful relationship. This is the worst for any incest fan. This is the worst for any harem fan. This is the worst for any romance fan. What even does this show for all the people who like it? I might never get it. But the thing that really makes OreImo that bad is how there's shreds and pieces of the actual otaku plight in there, and of an actual good relationship between siblings, which are even called wholesome in the beginning. Only by establishing that OreImo does know how to convey the good shit do I really feel the punch in the gut, when it shows me how little it understands human relationships and how hard it indulges in this totally unhealthy shit, pretending that it's good or romantic in any way.